Stop what you're doing. It is the end of the world. The women in WWE are not getting what they want, and just like babies, the toys are coming out of the pram. Welcome back, guys, to Fog Wrestling, and OMG, just like a Ferrari can go from 0 to 60 in 3 seconds, Triple H has went from hero to zero in approximately 3 seconds, because the women's match, Becky Lynch versus Trish Stratus, is no longer on the Summerslam card. And how could this possibly be a women's match with nobody holding a title, with a terrible feud, with terrible crowd heat, with nobody caring? How can this match not make the second biggest pay-per-view of the year? It's almost like this match is mediocre and it is not worthy of being on SummerSlam. But who would have thought that? Well, apparently not the women of the wrestling world, because Becky Lynch has been complaining, Rhea Ripley's been complaining, anybody with a Twitter account has been complaining, all the simpy, marky wrestling fans have been complaining, and they all think it's a disgrace that Becky Lynch versus Trish Stratus is not on the card. But let's face it, this feud has sucked. Nobody cares anymore. The fact is, nobody really cares about Trish Stratus. And I say this as a fan of Trish Stratus. She is one of my favourites. Hell, you could maybe argue she is my favourite. I would say she is probably neck and neck with Lita as my favourite female wrestler of all time. But the simple fact is that nobody really cares about Trish Stratus in 2023 anymore. And some people will say it's not fair. Some people will say it's sexist, but in reality, it's not. If we logically look at this, why did people care about Trish Stratus in the first place? Was it her wrestling ability? No. Was it her mic work? No. Was it her character? No. The fact we cared about Trish Stratus, it was for two reasons. It was because A, she was hot, and B, her character was sexualized. It's now 2023 in wrestling. WWE don't really sexualise women anymore, or at least they don't do it as much as they did in the past, and Trish Stratus has aged, therefore she doesn't look as good as she did in the past. It's really that simple. There is no hidden message here. There is no unfairness. There is no misogynistic views or sexist views. The fact is, Trish Stratus isn't as appealing to a male audience as she was back in the day. Now, if she worked hard, and I'm not saying she didn't, but if she got over based on her work and based on her promos, then she would still be more popular than she is today. She'd still be more relevant. But the fact is, we didn't care for her because of her promos. We didn't care for her because of her wrestling ability. We cared for her because of her looks. So therefore, her looks are the biggest thing that she has, and unfortunately she just doesn't look as good as she did. If we cared about Trish Stratus most importantly because of her wrestling and ability, and if she could still wrestle to the same level, we'd still care about Trish Stratus. Like Molly Holly, for example. Molly Holly, because she was over because of her wrestling ability, and that's why people cared about Molly more. If she came back, she'd probably still be closer to her peak than Trish is, because Molly would be relying on her skills, and that's what paid the bills for Molly Holly. Whereas Trish Stratus, it was her looks. Her looks are fading now, and it's just not as popular. You know, she's almost 50, and she's just not as big, she's not as over as she was back in the day, because she used her looks to get over, not her mic work and not her promos. And you could argue that her mic work, and you could argue that her wrestling ability has also declined as well. So overall, a lot of people don't tend to care about Trish Stratus as much. As for Becky Lynch, she hasn't been as over since she left to have a baby. Whose fault is that? I'm not saying she can't have kids, but at the end of the day, she was getting pushed at the time. She was like the #1 woman in wrestling, and arguably the #1 wrestler, even over all the men. Because at that point, I mean, WWE were pushing her big time. She was like the biggest draw that they had, because they were putting her in segments with The Rock. They were calling her the man. She main evented at WrestleMania. WWE were pushing Becky Lynch big time. She walked away for that, and she comes back, and the fact is, she's just not as over, and she's not as popular as she was 3-4 years ago. Whose fault's that? It's not our fault, it's Becky Lynch's fault, so she needs to deal with that. But when you look at women today in wrestling, all they do is bitch and complain because they don't get what they feel like they deserve. They've had everything handed to them over the last, 6, 7 years with this forced women's movement. This women's movement that a majority of people didn't want, but WWE forced it on us. WWE made it happen. And now these women just can't accept not getting their own way. If they feel like they are not getting something they deserve, they're going to complain. They're going to bitch about it. But in reality, Trish versus Becky probably shouldn't be on SummerSlam. I wouldn't say it's worthy of being on SummerSlam. Just like Rhea Ripley, who hasn't got an opponent, who hasn't got a storyline. She might be the champion, but she doesn't feel like it. It's been a terrible reign as champ. And I would say she doesn't deserve to be on SummerSlam either. Yet they're on Twitter, they're complaining. They're on Instagram, they're complaining. They're liking tweets that are complaining. And it's just very bitchy. The attitude stinks. It's like, if you feel like you deserve better, then why don't you fucking improve? Why don't you up your game? Why don't you do something so good that WWE management or whatever has to put you on the show? Like back in the day when you had people not getting over, they changed their character, they changed something up, they changed themselves, they got better so that people would take notice and be like, oh well, we have to have this person on the show, we have to use this person. But no, the women just want to complain, they want to cry, they want to bitch, and it's very pathetic. Look at LA Knight, right? This guy is definitely, when you look at crowd reaction, he's the most over guy that they have. He's getting all the cheers, he's getting all the big massive pops. When you look at the merchandise, he was the top seller in the month of July. This guy he's definitely everyone's cup of tea at the moment. They all want LA Knight. They're all loving LA Knight, yet he gets jobbed out. He doesn't get a big push. He ain't getting put on the big cards, but he doesn't complain. He doesn't bitch. He doesn't go on Twitter and start crying about it and go, well, I deserve to be world champion. I deserve to be Money in the Bank. I deserve this. I deserve that. No. LA Knight keeps working hard. He gets his head down and he gets on with it. And I do believe LA Knight will get a break in WWE, and I think he will win a title, whether that be a mid-card belt, the Intercontinental title, or whether that be the world title sometime down the line. I do believe LA Knight will be successful sooner rather than later. Could be the Royal Rumble winner, I don't know. But if he keeps working hard, if he keeps doing what he's doing, if he keeps improving and keeps getting the crowd reactions, it's only a matter of time before LA Knight gets what he deserves. The best way to do it is to do what LA Knight's doing, not to do what these women are doing and crying and bitching and complaining. And I've seen people blame this on Triple H. I've seen people say, if Stephanie McMahon was still there, this would never be happening. I mean, first of all, there's already 2 women's matches on the card. 2 women's matches, out of 8? That's actually pretty good. Nobody wants to see 50% women's matches. We don't, okay? You can lie and pretend that you do, but we do not. 2 out of 8 is very good. And second of all, that's so unfair on Triple H. I don't like Triple H's style of booking. I think the company's went to shit since Triple H took over. I hate it as running NXT. I thought it was the most overrated thing ever. But to try and blame Triple H here, and to try and say that Triple H doesn't care about the women, that is fucking bullshit. Triple H has pushed so many women. Triple H has guided so many women under his time in charge of WWE. To simply turn around and blame him now, that is absolutely pathetic. Look how much Triple H cares about these women when they win belts, man. He's hugging them, he's putting the arm around them, he's putting them over. I mean, Triple H has been one of the biggest advocates for women's wrestling over the years, and now people want to blame him. Doesn't make any sense. And then people will also want to blame McMahon. I mean, it's not McMahon's fault either. Look at McMahon. Trish Stratus is his favourite female of all time. Just like McMahon said that Austin is the greatest male superstar he's ever had, Trish Stratus would easily be McMahon's favourite female superstar of all time. No doubt about it. And then you look at Becky Lynch. Becky Lynch, when McMahon was in charge, she flourished. Like I said, she was getting pushed as the top person in the company. McMahon likes Becky Lynch. There's no doubt about it. Trish is his favourite of all time, and Becky is his favourite in this current era. So you can't blame McMahon for this either. The simple fact is, this feud just isn't that good. Nobody cares about Trish or Becky. The matches haven't been great. The promos haven't been great. They had to cut a match from SummerSlam in order to get this Slim Jim Battle Royal on. And unfortunately, for Trish and Becky, It was their match that was cut. People are saying, why don't you cut Brock Lesnar versus Cody? Nobody wants to see that rematch. It's because Brock Lesnar's fucking Brock Lesnar. Brock Lesnar's a beast. Brock Lesnar's the man. Brock Lesnar's a draw, right? There's a reason WWE pay Brock Lesnar big money to do limited dates. Brock Lesnar's match ain't getting cut for this show. Are you shitting me? You look at the other women's matches. I mean, this could be Ronda Rousey's last match for WWE. That's going to happen. That's not going to get cut. And then you've got the real women's championship with Asuka, Charlotte Flair, and Bianca Belair, which has actually got a half-decent story to it, whereas there's nothing going with Rhea Ripley. So why would that match get cut? It just makes no fucking sense, guys. The two women's matches that deserve to be on SummerSlam are going ahead. And the two women's matches, Becky versus Trish and Rhea versus whoever she wants to defend the belt, the two matches that don't deserve to be on SummerSlam are not going to be on SummerSlam, so it's a win-win. Everything's good. Everything's happy here. They've made the correct decision. Yet some people will still bitch. Some people will still complain. People are saying, oh, take away Logan Paul. Why? Take away Logan Paul. Look at Logan Paul. You tell me they should take away Logan Paul and Ricochet for Becky and Trish that nobody gives a shit? Come on. Absolutely crazy. I mean, Logan Paul's done a great job since he came into WWE. Even Ric Flair says he's better than 70% of the roster, and there's a reason for that, because he is bloody damn good. And his match against Logan Paul isn't being cut. And you know what? The actual build-up, the promo work between those two has been way better than what we've seen for Trish and Becky. So guys, that's it. Let me know your thoughts down below. I think the right match has been cut here. Like I said, I like Trish. Probably my favourite female of all time alongside Lita, but this rivalry just has not been good. I don't care for it, and I'm not surprised it hasn't made the card. Anyway guys, that's it. Catch you in the next one. Let us know your thoughts down below. Till next time, peace.